Hi everyone. Today Salesforce Consulting and Admin Training Day 20. So let's see what are we going to learn today. So today's agenda is we'll quickly go through the previous session and we'll talk about one of the use case and we'll see what is the objects, what are the standard objects, what is the custom object, what are the governor limits on the customer on the objects, and ways to list out the objects. What are the different ways to list out the different objects? And object manager, what is it? And we will see schema builder. What is a schema builder? And also we will talk about little bit on the developer console. And we'll talk about the use case. And we'll see the custom objects, how to create a custom objects, what are the ways to create a custom object. And navigation, object manager. We'll talk about requirement, then we'll talk about tabs, custom object tabs, and web tabs. And then we'll have a conclusion, quiz, homework, and the interview questions. So quickly, so what did we learn in the last class?
Web to lead, web to case.
Generate HTML, web to case, organization wide address, email address.
Auto response.
Auto response, yes. So that's what we have seen in the last class. So today, let's see the use case. So let's take the scenario. If you go to the URL, customer salesforce.com, customer success stories. If you go here, so in this customer success stories, we will see many different who are the clients that are using the Salesforce. We can see everything here, right? And you can sort it by industry and product. Now let's see that there is one of the company here. We all know that PayPal. So PayPal is using the Salesforce, which is a sales cloud. Now let's assume that if you are getting any new client or with the existing client, if we want to implement a certain module. Now PayPal has requested to implement something related to bank policy or bank details or insurance details. They have requested to implement it. So when they have requested to implement insurance application or some payment application, now what are the things that we need to consider? So let's assume that the request came as an insurance application. When the insurance application, it came to us, they said that, can you implement an insurance application? So now first we need to understand what are the things that insurance company is handling it. What are the things insurance company is handling it? That means what are the different functionalities they have? What are the different functionalities they have? So insurance company has branches where the different branches, and they have employees, they have to maintain the employees list, and they have to maintain the agents because we have a different agents who handle the insurance details, and they have a separate policy, and they have a customer details, and also they have a claims. So whatever we have researched so far, we have understood that these are the functionalities that they wanted us to implement in the Salesforce. Now, before going further any step, the first thing we need to identify if insurance application, does it need all these objects? Does it need all these? What are the functionalities we have here? We need to confirm with them, do they want a functionality on the branch? Do they want a functionality on employee? So if they say that, yes, we want this functionality, the first thing we need to check how to handle the branches in Salesforce. So in order to handle the branches in Salesforce, we need to create a certain object. We need to create a certain object. So we do not have right now, assume that we do not have any standard object which says branches. There is no standard object which called as a branches. So like this, for employees, we need an employee object. For agents, we need an agents object, and for policy, we need a policy object. For customer, we need a customer object. For claims, we need a claims object. Now, these many objects we have to create in the Salesforce in order to build a application, whatever they have requested. If I wanted to build this application, I need to use these all objects. And behind this object, we have to implement a certain logic in order to execute what are the functionalities are there. In order to implement that, we need to build a logic there. Now, so here, these are the objects which I needed. So in case if I need a customer object, instead of creating a new customer object, I can use the account object. It all depends on the how architecture is going to design this. If the architecture says that I wanted to use this object, which is an existing standard object, we have to see how can we turn the standard object to the whatever the functionality is there, can we build same using the standard object. So this everything design, the first thing design onto the any requirement is how many objects do we really need to create in the Salesforce. That is the first discussion that comes into the any of the project. Because based on that, the entire architecture is going to design. Now, let's see objects. So basically objects represents a table, as we all know that we have discussed. So object represents a table which is used to store the application or a business or a organization specific data or organization specific data. So Salesforce provided two types of objects. The first one is a standard object, second one is a custom object. Now, the combination of both standard object or a custom objects are called S object. That means Salesforce object. Whenever in the developer, whenever we are implementing a code in the development, or if somebody talking about I need a S object details. What is that means? S object is nothing but the combination of both standard and a custom object is called S object. S object is nothing but Salesforce objects. Salesforce objects. It's not a standard object. It is a combination of both the objects. Standard and a custom objects, we call the S objects. So standard objects, as we know that by default, Salesforce is providing certain default standard objects, right? That means these are the ready-made objects provided by the Salesforce by default as part of Salesforce CRM. Whenever we create a developer addition or whenever we get a org from the client, by default, Salesforce provides the ready-made objects. That means by using that, I can start implementing certain functionalities. So these are ready-made objects. We can straightforward use it by creating the records without making any changes into that. Example, campaign, lead, account, contacts, opportunity, case, solution, order, user, task, event, right? So the one which we have already created, account records we have created, lead records we have created, contact records we have created, opportunity records we have created. We did not made any changes onto this. And we have created a case record, we have created a campaign record. So that means as soon as I get the Salesforce, if I want, I can go ahead and create a record for these standard objects without making any configuration customization changes. So these are ready-made objects which I can straightforward go ahead and use it. So let's assume that we have an account table here. Now, whenever the account table is there, definitely that this is a standard object is nothing but a table where the data is stored in the form of rows and columns. Now let's assume that account is standard object. As soon as we get a Salesforce CRM, we get the account object. Now, whenever we get the account object, that means it is there in the database.com. That means these, what are the standard objects are there? Standard objects are sits into the database.com. Now the question here is, as this is a standard object, account is a standard object, and along with the standard object, there are certain fields which are provided by the Salesforce. which are certain fields which are provided by the Salesforce. Now, do I have a flexibility to modify the standard object? You can modify it. Modify in a sense, you can add if you want a new row or if you want a new column to be added into this table, you can modify that. You can create your own fields. You can create your own fields, but you cannot delete. You cannot remove these standard objects. What are the standard objects we have? We cannot remove it from the Salesforce. You can only do the customization on the existing one. On top of the existing standard objects, you can customize it, but you cannot delete the standard objects. None of the standard objects cannot be deleted. Either you can add a fields, you can modify the something here, or you can hide this object, but you cannot take out from your organization, which is not possible in the Salesforce. Whereas custom objects are the Salesforce administrator or a developer can create their own custom objects according to the business requirement. So based on the business requirement, the one which we have seen, insurance application. So insurance application need a branch. Insurance application need an employee, agent information. So based on the client requirement, if I need agent information and if they are expecting they are going to add a records, that means we need to create a custom objects. So custom objects is always created based on the business requirement. If it is really needed, then only we will create it. So this is basically to store the data in that particular object. So it is to store the data, whatever the user is entering the data in that object. If I wanted to store that, I can use the custom object to store the data. Now, custom objects, as we are creating a custom object, it is created by the admin, it is created by the developer. So we'll have a full control onto the custom object. We'll have a full control onto the custom object. I can delete a record completely from the organization. I can make whatever the changes I want because that is full control. Custom objects are full control for the developers and admin. They can do whatever they want. So basically they can delete it, they can modify it, they can change any layout or anything they wanted to do, they can do it. Rename it. Now, example, so as we have discussed, branch, customer, policy, claim, these are the custom objects. Now, when we are creating a custom object, how can I differentiate by looking at the name, whether it is a custom object or a standard object? So if you go to the custom objects, you will see there is a ending with __C. Which has a __C. So by looking at this, you can see that this means that is a custom object. So all the custom objects has like a branch __C. We will not be giving __C. I'll be just mentioning the branch here. By default, Salesforce convert that name to the __C. So if I give a customer, Salesforce will convert customer __C. If I give a policy, Salesforce will convert the policy __C. So wherever you see the object that is ending with __C, the API name, that means it is a custom object. Now, a couple of Garner limits onto it. So the first one is, so in free developer edition, we can create maximum 400 custom objects. Maximum 400 custom objects we can create it. Now, by default, Salesforce is giving around 170 objects, 170 plus something object. Assume that almost equal to 200 objects. Almost equal to 200 objects, assuming that. So they will give around 170 plus objects. And apart from this, you can create a 400 custom objects. When I say limit is maximum 400 custom objects, is nothing but it does not consider the standard object. It does not consider the standard objects. It is on top of the, what are the standard objects are there. Apart from that, we can create a 400 custom objects in developer edition. Whereas in unlimited edition, we can create around, the hard limit is 3000. The total custom object per organization is a 3000. So hardly you can create a 2000. In case if you want, you can update it, adding the 1000 objects. So let's assume that your unlimited edition, you can create a 2000 custom objects. And in the real time, whenever we are implementing any project, if there is any requirement, which we need to install certain package, So when we install a package, along with the package, there are few objects gets created. So that is also comes in under the count. So it is a combination of how many you are creating in your org, plus when you install a package, there are some objects which are created by the package. Those also will come into the count. So total is 3000 objects. So total 3000 total custom objects per organization, regardless of whether they are created within the org or installed from the app exchange. And it is not possible to raise this total custom object beyond the 3000 in real time. Hardly we create 200 objects, or max it goes to the 250 in real time. We don't create, if you ask me, that 200 is very high. So 200 is the maximum we create a object. Because whenever we wanted to create an object, we will do a lot of research why this object is necessary. Can we handle it in different way? For everything, we will not create an object. So we will see, is there a way that we can handle it in the different way? So if it is really mandatory that the record has to be entered in this and somebody has to monitor the data here, then only we will go to the create an object. So in real time, we create maximum 200 to 250. That means if you see here, developer edition has a 400 custom objects. That means you can implement your real-time work in the developer edition. You can create a objects because you have a space here to create a objects. So what are the real-time org is real-time you are creating it, which is possible to implement up to the 200, because maximum we go with the 200, right? So you can create those objects in the developer edition also. In case if you wanted to cross verify, in case if you wanted to see what is the object limit. So if you go to the object manager, if you go to any object, so open any object. If you open here, there is a object limits. There is an option here, object limits. So this object limits are related to specific object. It's not entire object limit. It's a for specific object, what are the limits? The one which we are discussing is this is entire object in the organization. How many objects can be created? But whereas this object limit talks about a specific object. In the specific object, how many lookup functions you can create it, how many roll-up summary you can create it, how many custom fields you can create it, how many approval process you can create it, how many sharing roles you can create it, how many total workflows you can be created. So this is at the object level. In the object level, this is by default for the developer edition. Salesforce has given this. Salesforce has given. So maximum you can create a 40 relationship fields. 40 relationship fields you can create it, and 500 custom fields you can create it. So this is in the developer edition. In the real time, it might be different. So that is the object specific. Now let's move on. What are the ways to list out the object? What are the ways to list out the object? That means what are the different places can I view the object? Now Salesforce provides the 3 ways to list out all the Salesforce objects. One is object manager, and the second one is a schema builder, and the third one is a developer console. Object manager, schema builder, developer console. These are the 3 places which I can view all the objects. Now, there are few objects which we cannot see in the object manager, but we can see in the developer console. Why we cannot see in the object manager? Because those objects are not for the end user. Those objects for the developers. Those objects only needed for the developers. So that's the reason we can see in the developer console. We cannot see all the objects here. What are the 200 objects that is provided by the Salesforce? All 200 we cannot see. Maximum 167 objects we can see in the object manager. Right? We have a few more objects apart from that. Those objects we can see in the developer console. Similarly, in the schema builder is basically graphical representator. So let's go ahead and see that. So we'll see step by step what is the object manager, how to create it, what is the schema builder, what is the developer console, how can we view this. So we'll go through each one of them. Now till this point, any questions? Till this point, any questions? Okay. Fine. So let's go ahead and see that. Now, object manager, click on a setup. So as we have seen that, open the object manager, or else if you want to search it. Now, in case if you do not find this, what you can do is you can directly search object manager here. So which is available, the object manager, which will take you here. So either you can directly click on the object manager, or else you can search the object manager. Click on the object manager link, and then you can view all the Salesforce objects. We can view all the Salesforce objects. When I say all the Salesforce objects which are useful for the users, only those we can see. So maximum we have a 167, because 2 objects are custom objects. So 167 objects are provided by the Salesforce. Plus there are some objects which we can view it in the developer console. Now view all the Salesforce objects. So this is the option here. Now coming to the schema builder. So schema builder it's a graphical representative tool. It's a graphical representative. Whatever I can see in the object manager. So what is happening here in the object manager? Basically, the content, I can see the content. What is the object name? What is the API object name of this? And what are the fields are available? I can see these in detail. Whereas schema builder is a graphical representative tool, which represents the object structure on the canvas in the pictorial format. That means it shows in the pictorial format in the canvas. There is a canvas window is there. In that we can see how the object structure and how it is linked to other objects. So everything we can see the information. So we can identify the objects and we can view the fields also. If you want to view the fields, you can view the fields in the schema builder. Also, you can create a fields in the schema builder, which is possible. You can directly create a fields in the schema builder. and we can identify the associations among the objects. So how can we go there? Click on a setup menu, search for an option Schema Builder in the quick find. So click on a Schema Builder link. So here is the option which is there in the objects and fields. So once you click on the Schema Builder, it will open up the Schema Builder tool. This is the Schema Builder tool. Now in the Schema Builder tool, it is divided into the two parts. The first one is which is a right side. Here we can see all the objects. The list of all the objects we can view here. The list of all the objects which we can view here. It says here select from. You can use all objects. Now we have a different options. And on top, if you observe here, there is a elements and there is a objects. Two things are there, elements and objects. If you select a objects, you can choose the object here. If you select a element, that is basically different part for creating a fields or anything. If you wanted to do related to the object, you can do that. We'll see that. And then on top, close auto layout view option is there. So these all sits in the right side of this. And the second one we have this, whatever the window is you see here, this is canvas. This is called canvas. Canvas is nothing but where I can view a graphical representative, where I can view the pictorial format of the object structure. Pictorial format of the object structure where I can view it. It is called canvas. In canvas, we can see all the object info. What are the selected objects are here, which will be shown this side. So contract, contact. So whatever I have selected, those objects will be visible on the canvas. And here, there is a sign here. So legend is, what are the blue line or a green line that you see here, which is a lookup relationship, which talks about the relationship. And what are the red color, the straight line is there. So whatever this red color straight line is there, that means it is a required field. So here it is a required field. This is a required field. This is a required field. This is required field. So wherever the required fields are there, that means it shows a straight line, red color straight line is there. That means it is a required field. It is a required field. Now let's go ahead and see that. And now let's go to the Schema Builder. So home, search for a Schema Builder. Now in Schema Builder, okay, by default, you will get some object visible here. In Schema Builder, so this is all objects. If you wanted to view only the selected objects, you can view only the selected objects. If you wanted to see only the standard objects, you can select the standard objects. If you want to view only the custom objects, you can select this custom object. And then there is a system object. System objects are, it's not a standard object, it's basically system object like a task, event, user, activity. These are called as a system objects. Now this is objects. Now if I select this, or I can see all the objects here. In case if you are not able to find it, so what you can do is you can search here. This is a search option is available. If you select it, it will be visible here. For example, now you wanted to clear all these things. I do not need these all information. If you wanted to clear this information, click on a clear all. Now select it, account. There is an account here, right? So this is the account. And if you wanted to select few more objects, like a contact, and you need a case, maybe I'm selecting just case. And then if you need a lead, you can select a lead. Now, this is how it is displaying it. It's not in proper format. If you want to adjust it, you can adjust it. So you can move this side, whatever the way you wanted to adjust it, you can adjust. Or else, if you want auto layout, there is an option called auto layout option is there. So if you want, you can select that auto layout. What it does is it basically arranges in the order. Whatever the order is there, it will arrange it. So lead, contact, let me bring everything on top. So this is a case. And below that we have a account. Now you can drag it and you can view here. Or else if you wanted to minimize this, whatever the view is there, it is too large. If you want to reduce it, here we have an option to reduce it. So if you click on this, what will happen? It will reduce it. So this is zoom in, zoom out. Now you can see here, this is a cases and contact. And then we have a lead. Now, whatever these links are there, so this is one link. So what are this link? What is this mean of the link, which is given here? And what is the meaning of this red? Okay, we have not seen those relationship. We will see that relationship. So basically what it is saying is, now here it's a one contact. It's a one contact. It's a one contact which is linked to the multiple contact. You see the relationship here. The relationship, it is explaining it clearly. Now here, wherever the relationship, if you wanted to identify how many accounts are linked to how many contacts. So yeah, we have not discussed the relationship, but I just wanted to show you this hint. Wherever you see the pointer, so the pointer where it is starting one means it is a one account. And wherever it is connected with the multiple lines, that means one account is connected to the multiple contacts. One account is connected to the multiple contacts. Similarly, we have this. So one account is connected to the multiple cases. So one contact is connected to the multiple cases, right? So you can see all this information. Now, next one is the elements. So elements is basically, if you want to create a field, for example, I wanted to create a field in account. I wanted to create a field in account. Which type of a field do I need to create it? You can create it from the object manager. Also, you can create it from the schema builder. You can create it from schema builder. So let's suppose if you wanted to create a field. So text field, if you wanted to create it, you can drag and you can drop it here so that this is creating a field. Text field is creating on the object. Right? So you can create that. So that part we will see whenever we are creating the fields. Now, this is object information. If you wanted to close, you can close it. Auto layout and view option. If you want to display the element names, right? So there is a difference here. So if you see, let me take the custom object so that you will understand. Okay, so there is a custom object here, patient. So when I say display element names, display element label is nothing but it is going to show me the API name of the object. It is going to show me the API name of the object. If I say label, it is going to display the label. Element names, that means API names. If I say hide relationship, all the relationship will be hidden. Now, if I say show relationship, it is going to show the relationship. Hide legend, whatever the legends are there, it will be hidden. So whatever we used to see here, the legends. So if I say show this is available. If I say hide, it is going to hide it. So this is the another place where if you wanted to see the object and their relationship and how many fields are there, how the structure is there. If you wanted to see anything, you can go to the Schema Builder and you can view the pictorial format of the object structure. Now, any questions on the Schema Builder and Object Manager? Now, the next one is a developer console. In the developer console, click on the setup menu, click on the developer console link. So you have to go to the developer console editor, click on a file menu, click on a open menu item. When you click on a open menu item, there are three. Open menu item is divided into the three boxes. One is entity type, second one is a entities, and the third one is a related. Entity types are, there are different entity types. So we need to select the entity type as an object. For whatever we wanted to see the object information, whether it is a standard object or a custom object, if you wanted to view, we need to select the entity type as an object. Now, once you select the entity type, whatever the related information is there, that we can see in the entities. We can see all the objects in entities. And then based on the selection, if there is any related linking or anything is there, then we can see here in the related. Now you can select any of the object from the entities, so that what will happen if you select this and if you click on your open, it will open up the object. It will open up the object. So let's go ahead and see. Developer console. So file, open. So here you can see the three types: entity type, entities, related. So now we have to select only the objects. Now we have all the object information in the developer console. You can see the one which you cannot see in the object manager. Also we can view in the developer console. So developer console contains everything, all the information, it will be there. So if you wanted to query the information, if you wanted to view what are the fields are there in the account, so you can select the account, click on a open. Now you can see all the fields that are available inside the account object. You can see all the fields that are available inside the account object. Now let's take an example. In the account object, you cannot see these fields in the object manager. You cannot see these fields in the object manager. It's straightforward. It says that billing address. Straightforward. It says billing address. If you go to the object manager. So in the object manager, if you go to the account, it says just a billing address. It says just a billing address. But if you wanted to capture certain data, then you can view the field names in the account in developer console, which says that though it is a billing address, but billing address is divided separately to store the data related to street in the billing street, related to city in the billing city. Like that, it is divided and it is storing the data into the database. Right? So any questions on the developer console? Okay. So next we'll move on to the use case. So the use case is I wanted to create a customer object. I wanted to create customer object. So whenever we create a custom object, what happens at the back end? That means a table gets created, a table with the name called customer __C. A table gets created in database.com Salesforce. Now, whenever the table gets created, now assume that I have created an object in Salesforce. I clicked on a object manager and I created the object. So when I created the object, the table name is a customer _ C because we are creating the custom object. Now, when it is created in the database.com, does it create an empty table in the database.com? Does it create an empty table or what it does?
With few default
With
columns.
one field.
For name,
Name.
owner, created by, created date, created by, last modified.
So whenever we create a custom object, there are 5 fields which are automatically created by Salesforce. There are 5 fields which are created by Salesforce. Whenever we create any object, it could be any custom object, by default Salesforce is going to create a 5 fields. So those fields are by default ID will be there. ID, it is basically generated by the Salesforce. And you cannot see that ID in the Salesforce. You cannot see ID in the Salesforce. ID field you cannot see in the Salesforce, but you can see in the developer console. Whatever the ID field is there, you can see in the developer console, but it is not available in the Salesforce. You cannot see ID here. If you search anything here, ID, you cannot see. So ID is the one which is a unique identifier. By default, Salesforce is going to create it in the database.com. And then it creates another field which is a name. So during the creation of object, it will ask, do you want to go with the text field or a auto number? If you say text field, that means it is going to create a name. If you say auto number, that is a auto number field. Instead of a name, there will be an auto number field will be there. And then we have a owner. Owner field is also automatically, the data automatically created by the Salesforce. Whoever is creating the record, it will auto capture that username and it will place it into the owner. And then we have a created by, last modified by. So created by is whenever the record is created, automatically Salesforce capture the information. Last modified by, whenever the Salesforce is created, it will capture the, whenever the data is modified, the last modified, whenever the record is last modified. So the last modified data will be captured in the last modified. So this is in the database. Whenever we click on a save button on the object, whenever I enter the object name and a certain information, whenever I click on a save button, this is how the table gets created into the database.com. That means whenever it is created in the database.com, so the 5 fields is automatically created. ID, name, owner, created by, last modified by. And then we have a tabs. So tabs are, why we needed tabs? Basically, now this is the database.com. It is there, the data is stored, like object is created in the database.com. Now we need a user to view the information. That means a user interaction has to be happen on this object. If I want a user interaction to be happen on this object, then we need to create a tab. If we create a tab, then user can go to user or a developer or a internal client team. They can go to that particular object and enter the data, and they can click on a save button. So in order to implement user interaction for this object, we need to implement a tabs. We need to implement a tabs. So tabs name is customers. So customers is a plural name, which is always, tabs names will be always plural name. Now assume that I have implemented a tab. When I implemented a tab, now internal Salesforce team or a client has opened the object clicked on the new button on the object. When they click on a new button on the object, they could see only two fields. They could see only two fields. One is a customer name and the customer owner. By default, this is a read only. That means only one field which is editable. And they can see save and cancel, save and new, whatever fields are there, they get the buttons, they can see that. Now, what happens to the others? ID, I cannot see. Owner, I cannot see. Created by, I cannot see. Last modified by, I cannot see. So only owner is visible, but that is a read only. So user is able to see only these two fields. Customer name, customer owner. What happens to other three? What
It
happens?
is by default.
So
Created by
entering the record, it is created by and lost will be offline after entering the details.
So by default, Salesforce is going to capture those information. So for ID, we do not need any user input. For created by, we do not need a user input. For last modified, we do not need a user input. These three fields are auto captured or auto updated by the Salesforce. So those need not to be viewed onto the user interface. Now, let's talk about the custom object. So upon creating the custom object, Salesforce provides the 3 layers by default. So whenever we are creating the custom object, Salesforce provides 3 layers. So it will create the table with the specified name, and it will create with the below 5 standard fields. So ID, name, owner, created by, last modified by. And it will create the tab. If we specify, if we check it, then it is going to create the tab for the object, which is used to manage the records in the object. So it will create a business. And after that, if you want to implement any logic on top of this custom object, we can implement a business logic. Business logic is nothing but Apex. So example that we have seen right now, the use case customer, and that table name is customer, and these are the fields auto created, and the tab is user interface customer. Now, what are the ways to create a custom object? Salesforce provided the 2 ways to create a custom object. The first one is by using the object manager. The second one is by using the schema builder. Now, first we will focus on creating from the object manager. So what are the navigation steps? We know the setup, and then we have to go to the object manager. From the object manager, there is a option called create button. On that create button, if you click on that create button, there is an option called custom object button. So if you click on that custom object, the screen gets open. That means in order to create a new object, it will be redirected to new object information. So if you go to the say object manager, here you see the create button. If you select this create button, here we have a custom object. So if you click on a custom objects, it is redirected to the new custom object. So on new custom object, now we have a label name. So this label is a singular label. For example, if I say account or if I say customer, so the plural label name is a customers. And the object API name, the API name is auto capture. And then description, you can enter the description. So let's say I'm creating an object here, customer, and I'll say customers. Okay, so the object name is automatically taken from the label. So this is the API name. This is the API name. It will not show here __ C. It will not show here __ C. Once you click on a save button, then from the backend it gets created, then you can see __ C. So description is you can add this object created to capture customer information for insurance company, insurance application. So this is the description. And then this we have seen, this is basically a visual force. If you wanted to add a visual force, you can add the visual force or else go with the standard salesforce.com functionality. Now that is all about these fields: label, plural name, object name, description. Now we have entered these 4 fields data, and then we can go to the optional feature section. So optional feature sessions are, so these are the optional feature. Okay. Now optional features are, first one, it says all reports. Allow report. So basically, if you want to allow any report, in order to create a report for this object, if you wanted to allow that, you can check this. And the second checkbox is allow activities. Allow activities is nothing but kind of a reminder, So basically, if you have a certain schedule and you need a reminder, I wanted to place a task or I wanted to place an event, right? So in that case, if I wanted to put a reminder, you can put that reminder in the activities. So if you go to the opportunities, so if you go opportunities and open any record, here we have activities. So where you can log the event, task, email, log a call. So these all are basically, if you wanted to, for example, tomorrow I need to call the customer and give an update about this, what is happening on this opportunity. Or I just wanted to track with this customer how they are doing it. So if I wanted a reminder, so I can log a task or I can log a event. So these all we can do it. So that is the allow activities. And then track field history. And then the next one is a track field history. So when I say track field history, so track field history are now in object, I have a 300 fields or 400 fields are there. Now I need a specific field. Now this record is created. Let's assume that this record is created on January 24th. And this is the all the initial data which is created. Now, if somebody make a changes onto the close date, I wanted to track it. I wanted to track when this close date is changed and who has changed it and what was the date that it is changed. So if you wanted to capture the certain field history, you can capture those information. So similar like this stage history. Now somebody has added this amount. Let me click on view all. So this is the history. So initially it was a 0. On 124. And later on February 28, somebody made a changes onto it. Right? So it has been updated. But it is not actually updated, but the record is updated, right? So the record is updated. So it is just showing the information when is the record gets updated. So if you wanted to capture like this right now here, stage history tracking is there. Like that, if you wanted to track a close date history, so you can track by selecting that checkbox called track field history. And the next one which we have is, and the track field history, we can track it for just 18 months. The data will be available only for 18 months. That means from the last 18 months, what are the updates are happening on this field, we can capture. More than 18 months, we cannot capture. The data will be lost. And the next one, which we have a charter group. Charter group is allow. Charter group is basically, if you wanted to allow the charter group, right here we have a allow in charter groups. So if you want, if you want the any specific related the charts are happening, and if you want any related to this object. So sometimes what happens is in the real time, the clients, whenever they are working on it, so in the team, there is a 10 members in the sales team. So whoever is working on any record, so what they will do is they will put a charter to the rest of the members. So today this is the opportunity which came, and opportunity went into the closed, or opportunity went into the closed lost. So they will put the charting related to this object. They will tag this record and they will place it. So in those scenarios, if you want to allow this particular object to be allowed to place it into the charter groups, you can use allow in charter groups. And the next one is a enable license. So enable license, this indicates if the object is licensed by the Salesforce and whether users require a permission to set the license for it. In case if you want, not everybody accessing this object. Not everybody accessing this object. Now we want a certain license to be provided. So this is newly added, this option. It's not fully implemented, I guess. So this is enabling license, which is indicates if this is an object is licensed by the Salesforce and whether users requires a permission set license for it. So you can use the permission set on top of it if any of the users want to access this particular object. If you select this, that means the users cannot access this. The separate permission set needs to be created in order to enable that. So that is about optional features. And next one is a deployment status. So deployment status, we have in deployment, deployed, both are there. So in deployed is nothing but the object is still in the construction. Somebody is still working on that object. It is not yet completed. That means it is giving a hint to another developer. Do not use this object because I'm still working on this object. The structure is not yet completed. The structure of the object is not yet completed. That means in development. When I say deployed, now it is done. Anybody wants to use this object, they can use it. They can implement the business logic related to this object. So the option which is available here in development deployed. So if you are working on, like it is taking for 1 day for you to implement a custom object, just select this in development. But if you are done with implementing a custom object, select this deployed so that other developers can start using this object. And the next one which we have is search status. This is basically when you wanted to search anything, right? When this setting is enabled, your users can find the records of this object type, whether they search. So whenever you are searching any record data, so whenever you are searching it, if you want by default matching record, if they find it in this object, it should allow filtering out. That means this object should be allowed to search. And the next one, which we have a object creation option, available only when custom object is first created. This is only during the creation of the custom object. You can see this object creation option. Only for the first time you can see it. Later, if you edit this custom object, you cannot see this object creation option. You cannot see this object creation option if you edit it. This is only available for the first time. Now, there are two checkboxes here. The first one is a add notes and attachment related to the list to default page layout. That means whenever the object is created, and by default, along with this object, I wanted to add a notes and attachment as a related list for this object. By default, I wanted to add notes and attachment for this object so that user can upload anything. User can upload here any image or a file, anything they can upload it. So if you want notes and attachments in the related list for that object, you can check that. And the next one, which we have a launch new custom tab wizard after saving this custom object. That means once this custom object is saved, do you want to create a tab for this? That means, do you want to implement a user interface? Do you want to implement a user interface tab? If you want to implement a user interface tab, then you have to click on this launch new custom tab. Launch new custom tab wizard after saving this custom object. So that is the two checkboxes. So if you select these two checkboxes, click on the save. So it will take you to the next page. So if you click on here, save, what will happen? As soon as I click on a save, it will save this object and it redirected to the new page for the tab. So I'm clicking on the save button. So it is redirecting to the tabs. The object is created. The object is created. If you go to the object manager, if you refresh here, I'm still yet to create a tabs here. Now here, if you see customer, you can search here customer, right? The object is created. The object customer object is created, last modified by, so this is the API name. This is the API name of the object, custom object. This object is created to capture customer information for insurance application, last modified, deployed. Now object is created. Now we are in the process of creating the tab. We are in the process of creating the tab. Now object is a customer. Now we have to select the tab style. So tab style, you can select anything. So Salesforce provides multiple tab style. So if you wanted to select any so let's take this and let's click on it, next button. Second screen for the tab is add to profile. Second screen for the tab is add to profile. So here we have two options. Apply one tab visibility to all the profiles. That means default on for all the profiles. Default on for all the profiles, or else apply a different tab visibility for each profile. That means you wanted to make a changes to the each profile. Now for this profile, I do not want, so default off. For this profile, I do not want, default off. Or else if you say that no, by default, let's go ahead and put it as a default on. So you can select default on. So first screen for the tab is selection of the icon. Then the second one is the add profiles. Second one is add profiles. So we have added the default on. When I select an option default on, that means to make an object to be visible to all the profile users. Now click on a next button, then it will ask you to select the checkbox include tab to make the tab to be visible in all the application. The third screen is, if you go on next, do you want to include this tab in all the application or do you want it to modify? If you select here include tab, that means include into the all the objects. If you unselect any one of them, that means I do not want to show that. So if you say here site.com, I do not want to show. So you can uncheck that. So once it is done, click on a save. Once it is done, click on a save button. So that's what is the navigation steps. Now, right now we have created customer object. Now, once the customer object is created, it is redirected to the, once the tab is created, it is redirected to the customer object because during the creation of the custom objects, we clicked on a checkbox to add the tab. So right now API name is a customer, custom object, singular label is a customer, plural label is a customers, enable report, track activity, track field history, deployment status is deployed, and then help setting is standard salesforce.com help window. Now, if you wanted to modify anything, now if you click on a edit button, now if you click on a edit button, now you cannot see the last section. To add a notes and attachment, to add a tab section, you cannot see in the edit. It is only that particular section is available only during the creation of the custom object. Later, you cannot update anything. Later, you cannot update. Now, for example, if I refresh, now I have created a customer object. Now, if I go and check where is the customer object, let's click on here. Now, here is the customers. Now, by default, it is added to the sales application. If I click on a new button, I can see only two fields, which is a customer name and the owner field. So customer name is definitely, it is a mandatory because during the object creation, we have mentioned the text field. So whatever we are mentioning the text field, that is, you can it is a mandatory. You cannot make it, this is as a disable. You cannot make this field as a not mandatory field. This is has to be mandatory. Now you can enter the customer name here. Click on save. Now the customer is created here. So one customer is created. Now I can see 4 fields. ID we cannot see here. All the 4 fields, I can see this information. Now I have activities, the activities which are added because I checked on the allow activities, and in the related list, notes and attachments are added here. Notes and attachments are added. Now till this point, any questions? Okay. So the next one is a requirement, create a custom object with the name called branch without any tab. Customer is saying that I do not want a tab. I do not want a tab. Create a branch. We just need a branch object, but do not create any tab for that. So I can create an object name branch. That means table name is become a branch __ C. So if I wanted to create a object without any tab, that means I should not select the checkbox, launch a new custom tab wizard after saving the custom object. I should not select this. Okay, so now how can I implement a branch object? How can I implement a branch object?
Create.
Create
Custom object.
custom object.
New custom object. Branch.
Branch. Branches.
Next, allow report
Allow report.
and then deployed allow search. Now they
Don't
do
click.
not want custom tab. So I'm
They
not
don't want.
selecting this checkbox. Click on it, save.
Save.
So if I do not select a checkbox, it doesn't go to the tab. It doesn't go to the tab screens. What are the three screens are there? It will not go there. Now, after 6 months, client says that they came back saying that we cannot see branch here. We need a branch tab to be available on the sales application because we need to create a certain records. Now, if I wanted to create that record, now if I go to the details, now they said that they wanted to include a tab. Now I clicked on the tab edit button on the customer. Now I'm trying to enable that tab option. Now I cannot see the tab option. So that means we cannot enable the tab option from the customer once from the custom object once the custom object is created. Now I'll click on cancel. In case if I wanted to implement a tab for the custom object, which is called as a branch. Right now, if I click on edit on the branch object, I cannot see that option here. Now I wanted to create a tab. If I wanted to create a tab for the branch object, then I should go to the option called tab. So there is an option called tab, which is under the user interface. Okay, before going to that, homework 1, create a custom object with the name player, object name player, table name player _ C. So, okay, this is not there. Just ignore the note, don't go for note. So create the custom object player and then object name player, API name is player _ C. Now the next one is homework, create a object with the name game, object name game, table name game _ C. Any questions on the homework? Okay, so let's go to the tab. Now the client says that they wanted to enable the tab for branch object. Now let's understand what is a tab. Tab provides a collection of user interfaces. To be used to manage the records inside the object. So by using the tab, we can perform all the DMLs. So that means I can create a record, I can update a record, I can delete a record, I can undelete a record, I can merge a record. Everything, what are the user interactions are there related to DML operation, they can do it on the tab. So each object can have only one tab. That means one-to-one association. I cannot create a multiple tab for the single object. Only one tab we can create it for one object. So object names are in singular format and the tab names are plural format. So that we have seen. Now upon creating the tab for custom object, Salesforce provides the below 5 type of tabs. Tab has 5 types. One is a custom object tab. Second one is a web tabs. Third one is a Visualforce page tab. And fourth one is a lightning page tabs. And next one is a lightning component tabs. Now custom object tab is nothing but. So by using this feature, we can create a tabs for the custom objects which does not have the tab. Example, the one which we have created, the branch. Now, if I have to go for it, navigation steps are go to the setup, search here a tab, and then you will see all different type of tabs here. Now click on this custom object. So right now, if you click on this custom object, new button, now it will ask you which object do you wanted to select here. It will not give all the object information here. It will give only the object that does not have a tab. It will give only the object that does not have a tab. So you can select this tab and you can select the tab style. So this is a branch. So branch, click on a next, and by default on it, click on a next, and then you can save this record. So right now the user can see the branch tab. User can see branch tab. So here is the branches. Now, if I click on a new, you can see branch name and then owner. So you can give any branch name. So let's say Madhapur and click on a save. So the record gets created. Now what we have done so far, we have created a user interface tab. The tab is created here. So here it is saying tab is nothing but you can create a new custom tabs to extend the Salesforce functionality or to build new application function. So custom object tab look and behave like a standard object tab provided with the Salesforce. And the second one, which we have a web tab. So web tabs are nothing but by using this feature, we can create a tab on the tab bar or a navigation bar or a navigation item, which redirects the user to the specific website or web application based on the URL. That means if you want, for example, you have a, let's take an example of Naukri.com. Let's take an example of Naukri.com. So when you say Naukri.com, now I need that Naukri tab should be available. I need Naukri tab. Now if I go to Salesforce, let's go here. Let's take Service Console. Okay, perfect. So let's assume that I need a tab here beside this. I need a tab which says that Naukri, which says that Naukri. Now, whenever I click on this Naukri, what will happen? It will open a page here. It will ideally, when we click on this tab, the below page will be redirected. That is the ideal scenario. Whatever this below will be there, it is showing the cases information. Now, if I click on a Naukri, it should show the Naukri information. But as soon as I click on this, what it should happen? It should open the website of Naukri.com. It should open the website of Naukri.com. Now, if you want that scenario to be there, so let's take it in real time. They wanted to create a Salesforce help desk. They wanted to create a tab for Salesforce help desk. So for help desk, what they want is they wanted to implement a tab here so that whenever they click on this tab, it should redirect it to the Salesforce help page. Salesforce help page. So that is the real scenario, but right now here I'm taking it as a Naukri. Now, when I click on this, it should go to the Naukri.com page. Now let's see how to implement this. Now let's go to the web tab, click on this. Now, whenever we select a web tab, it asks certain information here. Basically, it will ask the page layout. Do you want to view the web tab in full page or a 2-column page. When I say 2-column page, that means whatever the setup is there, that should be appearing it, and the sidebar should display as well as the page should be displayed. Let's say that I wanted to go for a full page. If I wanted to go for a full page, click on next, and it will ask certain information here. So what is the tab name? So whatever this first one is there, whatever the tab name is there, what tab name do you wanted to show there? So I wanted to show Naukri, and the API name will be auto displayed. And the second one is the icon. Which icon do you wanted to see whenever we click on the, or whenever we are seeing the Naukri? Let's select this computer, and then by default it is a 600 because we have selected the full page. It will auto take in this length. And then none, and this is the description. If you wanted to add a description, you can add it. Click on a next button. When you click on a next button, it will ask the URL. Whatever the URL is there, the URL we need to enter here. So you can enter the naukri.com. You can enter naukri.com. So now it might work, it might not work because certain security will be applied. What we are doing it, third-party URL we are injecting within the Salesforce. We are injecting within the Salesforce. Now let's see that. Click on it. Next. Let's go to the previous. Take out the slash. Preview web tab. If you click on a preview web tab, so it might not work because you are being redirected to the https www.naukricall.com. Do you wanted to leave this page? If you say yes, then it is going to leave this page. Now let me remove this https. Let me put the http. Click on a next. Default on all the application. Click on next, include in all the application. Click on a save. Now, if I refresh it, here I can see one of the option will be available, Naukri. Now, when I click on this Naukri, okay, so refuse to connect it because it has a certain security will be available. It won't be connected because whenever we are inserting the third party information here, it needs a certain information here. Now let me take google.com. Cancel. Edit. Next. Next. Preview web tab. This is also refused to connect it. Basically, there is certain security gets applied whenever we are calling the another URL. So that means from their side also they need to enable because we are injecting that inside the Salesforce. So before we inject, we need to talk to the Naukri or we need to talk to somebody else that we are going to place your URL inside our Salesforce. So that needs to be have a discussion before we placing on it. So that is a web tab. So web tab allows you to enable embed external web application and content within the Salesforce window. Web tabs allow you to embed external web applications, and connect within the Salesforce window. Now, next one, which we have a Visual Force tab. So Visual Force tab allows you to embed the Visual Force pages. So basically, Visual Force pages tab is nothing but by using this feature, we can create a tab on tab bar or a navigation bar. So which redirects the user to the specified Visual Force pages. And the next one is a lightning page tab, which we have. By using this feature, we can create a tab on the tab bar, which redirects the user to the specified lightning page. Whereas lightning component tab is nothing but by using this component, we can create a tab on the tab bar, which redirects the user to the specified lightning component page. This is for the Visual Force page, lightning page, and lightning component. Lightning component. So these are the different options which are available for the tabs. So we have seen the tab navigation. So on the search, quick find, search for a tab. So when you click on a tab, you can see, you can view the tab available in the organization. So this is the page you have seen already. So go to the custom object here section and then click on a new button. When you click on a new button, it will ask you to select the object name. When we have selected the branch, and then it will ask you to select the icon or a icon from the standard Salesforce icon, right? We have selected the icon, which is a computer. Then we clicked on a next button. When we click on a next button, it will ask, do you wanted to apply it for the all profiles? We said default on, and then the next screen will be, you wanted to include this tab for all the applications. If you say yes, then it is going to include in all the application. And you click on save button, and we have seen that. So web object tab also we have seen. You can go to the web tab, so which is this one. And if you click on a new button, first it will ask what is the width of the tab. Do you want it to display the screen in a full screen or in half screen? So based on selection, you can click on a next button. Then you have to enter the label name, the tab label name, and the icon, you have to choose it. And then you click on a next button. After clicking on the next button, you have to enter the website name. And then you need to click on you need to select whether it should be applicable for all the profiles, and then click on a next button and select include apps, which is going to, you are going to mention whether this tab should be available for all the apps or not. Then click on a save button. So that's about the web tabs, and we have seen the Visual Force tab and lightning component tab, lightning page tabs in the development classes and the lightning classes. Homework to create a custom object with the name player fee without any tab, object name player fee, table name player fee, and then how you will create it by unselecting the checkbox. Launch a new custom tab widget after saving the custom object. So you need to unselect that in order to create this object without any tab. So what did we learn so far?
Swapna.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Swapna, can you just
Object.
yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you just show me how we add lightning page tab? What is lightning page tab? Lightning component is okay. What is lightning page?
So this is we have a application, right? Application page, lightning application.
Yeah.
Right. So we will see that in the lightning.
Yeah. Okay. So we are yet to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have not created this lightning page. We have created the component, but not the lightning page.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So conclusion, what did we learn so far?
Objects,
Objects, how to create the objects, custom objects.
Custom object, standard object.
General limits, kernel limits.
Tags,
Schema builder.
Custom object,
Schema builder, types of tabs.
schema builder,
Tabs, types. Recording.
Right, so we have seen the standard object, custom object, governor limits. What are the governor limits? And what are the different ways to create an object? And what is a schema builder? What is the object manager? And how to view the objects in the developer console? And what are the different ways to create a tabs? What are the different tabs which we have? How to create a custom object tab? And how to create a web tab? So those are things which we have learned in the class. So question, how objects can be created in developer addition and how many objects can be created in developer addition and unlimited addition?
developer addition 400,
unlimited 3000.
unlimited 3000.
2000.
Right. Does it count the standard object also?
No,
No.
ma'am.
No,
No, ma'am.
Okay. What are the differences between the standard object and custom object?
Standard object we can't
Standard object
delete.
are not
Custom
deleted.
object we have to delete.
Objects we can
Like
delete.
custom object __ C. Thanks.
Right. So what are different tabs available in Salesforce?
5 tabs.
5 tabs.
types.
Custom tab,
Tabs,
web
Custom
tab,
tab,
visual force tab,
Lightning
web
lightning
tab,
paste
visual
tab,
paste.
lightning component tab.
Right. And the next one, what is a web tab?
Web tab recording
Exactly,
like
tab, it will be-
website based on the website we have to
Redirected
refer.
to the specific website.
If we wanted to call the any other third party URL, then we need to create a tab for that. And these are the trial heads, which I'll paste it. So that's all for today. Any other questions?
Yeah. Swapna?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got one interview question. What do you mean by what is the round robin?
So assume that this is a team. This team is specifically take care about all the cases that are coming to them. That means they have a queue. Whenever a case is created, it will go to the queue, the one which we have discussed, Hyderabad queue. Now, in real time, what we do is, instead of placing it here, instead of placing in the queue, because sometimes what happens is nobody look at the queue. Nobody look at the queue. So what they will do is, instead of just sitting into there, they will assign this case to the this person, this person, this person, this person. Right? Now, once the fourth person is completed, now you cannot assign all the cases to this person. You cannot assign all the cases to this person, or you cannot assign all the cases to this person. You need to have a certain sequence. You need to have a certain sequence. That means first case came, so it went to this person. Second came, it went to this person. Third case, it went here. Fourth case, it went here. Now you need to check who is next available. Who is next available? Now, ideally, it should go back to the first person. Ideally, it should go back to the first person. But if you see that there is a certain status, we can also verify it. So this is one way of the round robin. That means do the assignment continuously till the end of the person, come back to the first person, again start doing it. This is one way. Second way is look at the status. Look at the status of the whatever the case that the person is owning it. If it is already in almost end stage, then this case should go to the second person, because second person is already completed the task. Already completed the task. So it should go back to that person.